We're talking to retired Maryville Superintendent Tony Lux. So on the notion of Common Core, do you think when you see the new standards here, the standards they've just adopted in Indiana after basically General Assembly got involved and they really asked them to drop Common Core, what do you think of these new state standards, the ones that they picked to replace Common Core?
Well, I think that what I've been informed about and what I've learned from educators, and they are printed now, they're out and available to everybody, they are taking and maintaining some of the best standards that Indiana already had, because we have to realize that Indiana has already had very high standards educationally. And they've also taken some of the Common Core standards that are very good. You can't say that everything in Common Core was bad. And certainly they've maintained, I think, some of the best of both worlds.
Now on the radio, we had the president of the American Federation of Teachers, the Indiana president, and they've made some statements against Common Core. Though when I had him on, it seemed like he was more concerned about the loss of control in the classroom, the confusion and things like that. When you look at the teacher level, what are some of the concerns you're hearing about adopting these new standards?
You know, I think teachers want to have direction that they can count on. You know, we always talk about teaching as both a science and an art. You've got to have the personality of the teacher come through in the way they teach. But on the other side of the coin, you also have a scientific aspect in terms of what is taught and what are the best practices for teaching, so that better understanding of problem solving, reading for understanding, the ability to express oneself and explain how they think and how they write and communicate are still expectations that there should be common expectations across the state and across the country.
Is some of this just we're getting into a new data-driven world? Everything's data-driven now, including education. And for a lot of people that have been in the field for a long time, that's a little unnerving.
Well, but I think the data-driven concept has really taken hold. I think teachers understand that monitoring the level of student understanding, keeping track of that, making sure that those skills are totally mastered, because again, ultimately what this is all about is raising the achievement level and performance level of our students across the country.
So do you think these standards, whatever they be, even if they have to tweak them again, they're pretty much here to stay? And this style of teaching them is pretty much here to stay?
I think so, and I think that once it's clarified, and you know, again, all this changing, don't forget, schools were down the road for a couple years on Common Core when the rug was sort of pulled out from under everybody, and now these new standards are out here, so there is some changing of direction, and I think that's the part that's most upsetting to educators, is let's set a course and stick with it for several years so that we can get that improvement we're all looking for.
We're seeing so much about grading students and grading teachers and grading schools, but if you're a parent out there, how do you know if your teacher's doing a good job? What do you look for?
I think you look for what kind of support your child is getting. In other words, are teachers taking students wherever they are and getting them to improve? And that applies to high ability students as well as students who are behind for their grade level. And I think that's always the litmus test. Can the classroom teacher, and is the classroom teacher meeting all the needs of every individual student?
And for that student that bring home the homework, what's going to be different? How will it look? Will it really be that much different from what they've seen?
Well, I think that remains to be seen in terms of what actually gets home for homework. And I think it's too early to judge that, but I think you're going to see more emphasis on students doing word problems for math, and more emphasis on students being able to analyze reading passages for language arts.
Do you think teachers have enough time to make this happen? This is one summer enough time to get all these teachers on the same page?
Well, no, one summer is not enough time. It's going to be an ongoing process. This summer is going to be primarily, as I mentioned, select groups of committees that will do the early groundwork. Then during the school year, all the teachers will be making adjustments on the fly, because unfortunately that's the way legislative government works. They don't take into account what you need in proper preparation, in proper development.
But in the end, the whole notion is if you're teaching something in second grade, that builds upon it in third grade and fourth grade and fifth grade, so all these issues are mastered, so by the time you graduate, you have a cohesive education. And that really is a big shift for educators.
Well, you know, that was underway. That was part of the implementation plan for Common Core, to start at the primary grades and then work your way up through intermediate grades, middle school, and high school. And there was a plan for that. So now they have to go back and revise that plan.
And do it all over again. Superintendent Tony Lux, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you.